Ola Niaga, Steliaup, Etiov. Last time we met Ema, strapped in her limitless tower below a pendulum that descends every time we open up one of her hearts. It's hard to say what would happen if we freed her completely, whether she'd be released from her bonds or released unto death. By being sliced in half, for those of you not quite following, and because of this I'm quite hesitant to find out the truth. She does seem quite willing to martyr herself. I suppose that's where the particular sort of stubbornness comes from with the emerald, because she doesn't seem defensive towards us. The two chambers we've opened are a garden and a mine, which holds emerald and azure, which is what we used to free her, so I could potentially harvest everything and make my way directly to Ole. But I have to consider the overall scheme. I've got no other resources right now, so I should save as much as I can, since it can't be drained from the walls of the mine. As you can see, literally no other sources. It has to be my last resort. So I'm going to try and balance out the amount that I have at the moment and head to these two. Keep my options open and see which way the game pushes me. For now I have this garden, so I'm going to try and pass everything through me, and cultivate a large amount to make up for all that I've lost following the pangolin. I'm not bitter about it. Maybe a little, but still need to accept the reality, and at least last time, thanks to the mining, I have enough violet. I don't need to worry about having enough inspiration in my lympha to grow all the trees. My mouse seems to be clicking twice with each press, meaning that every time I put some colour in I end up taking a tiny amount out. Bring on technical difficulties, I'll try and gloss over it. Okay, that'll do. I've tried to even out everything so that I can grow as much as I can at once. There are clearly some that I can't grow at the moment, but I need to create an all-round, versatile foundation.
Almost depleted. You're dying.
I need to start building this foundation before I can start focusing on the particular colours needed for the upcoming sisters. Those will be crimson and gold, since I have virtually no silver and amber. The lack of choice makes my job slightly easier, whilst keeping my primary options completely open. Exactly the way I like it. This garden is designed very similar to the moorage, except there's a bridge where the boat should be. This again looks implanted from the real world. While it has been painstakingly scuffed, it doesn't quite fit in with the void's naturally tarnished appearance, as if someone has looked at the various bridge aesthetics and decided to incorporate them all into one design. Sorry, I messed up there. There's our trap, and the biggest difference between this chamber and the moorage are the trees down there. The moorage and this bridge garden both have the 5 trees up top, but this one also has 6 down in the mist. That's a huge advantage that I'm going to take full advantage of, but for now I'm going to stick to the top. I think these trees accept and give out more colour too, but I can't quite remember.
Remember I told you about the magic of violet? Well, silver does the opposite. The more silver there is in you, the less damage you'll do to a sister's realm.
We're not going back to Ava for a while, but she's still giving us advice. Isn't that nice? Right. These bigger capacity trees look fantastic. They're swirling out and diving in, forming some sort of nerve cortex of colour. You can see little droplets running throughout the new branches like cells through a vein. You can see what I meant before. These support cables are completely unnecessary on a bridge crossing this small of an expanse. I can get some crimson, which is what Sister Ailey desires, and she also wants silver, which I can get off the predators, so it's not that bad. By the end of this update, you may think the gardens are too useful, since they give you a lot of colour over several cycles. But there are only 4 gardens left, and 2 of them don't have a very high capacity, so this is actually a very finite opportunity.
You're one step closer to death.
That one looks like a platform, a nest for colour to well up in the centre. It feels not only like we're creating a life source, but that the source itself has a life of its own. No longer just like lichen clinging to the bark that I come along and scrape off, it's bubbly and energetic.
You're one step closer to death.
You're one step closer.
All these different voices, presumably with the brothers, since they speak of taboos occasionally, things like that. A lot of the voices sound like brothers, but without the reverberation that they get when they speak to you from their chambers. Perhaps these chambers have better acoustics. And I'm using some emerald here, even though I've got some waiting for me in the mine, just, you know, in case I need it at short notice.
You will die because of this.
This bridge has way too many supports, as if the architect looked at arches and went, oh, they look great, I'm going to put in as many as I possibly can. Though one has crumbled, maybe it needs it. I love the stained glass. Now you must have heard the chirping that's been going on throughout my entire stay in this chamber. There we go. Unfortunately, I can't get crushed by the soundless slabs.
Hawk. This glyph creates an obedient golem out of sharp twigs. After coming to life, the golem rises into the air and waits until its creator marks a target with color, at which point it rushes to the target and pierces it. The more color the hawk is charged with, the farther it sees and the more damage it does on collision.
This is probably my favourite offensive glyph. It stays around for ages, and when you create it, as long as you've got the target and the golem in your sights, as long as you keep tagging your target, it will eventually hit. It very rarely goes to waste. I'm going to show that off when I've got something to attack, but for now I'm going to let some cycles go by. Yeah, this isn't the most thrilling of things that you can do in this game, but it's very necessary to show you the sort of care and attention you need in order to build yourself up from nothing. I'm not exactly managing my available resources, I'm more journeying them for all it's worth, but it's still good to show off, and if I have to do it later on, then I will speed it up or cut it out, or try to spread it out amongst other activities, whichever works best.
Visit the sisters, young one, and scare them, lest they get carried away with their rejoicing. They act as if lympha will now flow into their veins by itself. They are hungry and miss the old times. And I am old, and thus merciful. But not all brothers are like this. For these reasons we have agreed to some new rules, but the sisters will not like them. We know this about them. Since it's best not to give them a chance to complain, you need to remind them that our patience is already sorely tested. They need to get used to seeing you as a brother, especially the elder ones. Just don't become too involved. Remember, they're taboo.
He's just reinforcing some of the rules, making sure I don't pay too much attention to the sisters, and that they respect me. I don't have any way of scaring them though, I can't talk and I can only give colour. Maybe the brothers can, in which case I'm a bit sorry for the sisters.
Azure. Color hasn't come today.
What will happen tomorrow? That's what she said last time. This doesn't look good. No colour. Oh wait, there is some now. There's some in the Pangolin Reservation, and in the mine. Maybe she's just saying it because it hasn't come to her realm in particular. Maybe she can't only see a short distance. And it's all azure, which suggests that I should give it to Ema. It's really favouring her at the moment.